2 years ago, my then 32-year-old wife, who was also 32 at the time, was diagnosed with stage 3 leukemia. Her prognosis was not very clear, and she could have gone either way. Fortunately, insurance and our well-paying jobs allowed us to afford her care. About a month into her treatment, she dropped the bomb on me that she wants a divorce. Her explanation was that she was happy, but because we got married so young when we were both 22, she feels like she missed out on a lot in life and wanted to experience it with what little time she may have left. I was in shock at her want to divorce. I offered couples therapy, which she denied because she said that there is nothing wrong with us, something I believed myself to be true. I tried to give her some distance, and we separated because I held off on the actual divorce for a year. The last month before the divorce was almost completely no contact. I called her one day and told her I am bringing the paperwork back to her, signed. In person, at her house, I gave her the papers and told her that I would take her back. No questions, no worries, and I would be with her through the rest of this if she wanted. But if I left that day, then I wouldn't come back. After a short conversation, I left, and not long after, the divorce was finalized. I spent time letting go and moving on. I didn't date anyone else. I don't think she did either, but I didn't care if she did. About 10 months after the divorce, her friend reached out to me. She told me that my ex never responded to treatment and was in the hospital just waiting for the end. She cried a lot and was scared about dying. She never asked to see me or mentioned me, at least when this friend was around, but she was overheard saying at one point that she made a mistake, and she may have been referring to our divorce. The friend said I should see her and try to give her some comfort, but I refused. Since the diagnosis, I had to try and come to terms with her dying, with her wanting to leave me, with being apart from her, and then finally losing her. I know she was struggling, but I was too. It was painful for the only person I loved to push me away and tell me there is nothing I can do for her. I know seeing her would just bring all the pain back, likely for both of us, and she made the choice to let me go. She died a month after her friend talked to me. My decision was not vindictive or meant to be a punishment, but it was selfish because I didn't want to let her break my heart again, whether she wanted to see me or not. I didn't go to the funeral. That decision was not to be selfish, but because I didn't want attention to be taken from her, nor did I want to talk about the divorce at that event. I have visited her grave to say my final goodbye privately, and her parents have reached out and let me know that they harbor no ill will towards me. I have not had contact with her family or non-mutual friends since. Am I the idiot for not going to see my ex on her deathbed? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You did what she asked, respected her wishes. She never asked to see you, and you were divorced because that was what she wished. Comment 2. What if she divorced him and pushed him away in a misguided notion she was saving the pain of watching her die? Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a few days since I shared my story, and a lot has happened since then. I've been trying to process everything, and it's been tough, but I wanted to give you all an update on what's been going on. The day after I posted, I got a call from one of our mutual friends, Mark. He said he read my post and wanted to talk. We met up at a local diner, and he told me that he understood why I made the decisions I did, but he also shared some things that I didn't know about my ex's final days. Apparently, she had been asking about me more than I was led to believe. She had even kept a photo of us from our wedding day by her hospital bed. Mark said he thought I should know, even if it didn't change anything. Hearing that really messed with my head. I had been so sure of my decision to stay away, but now I was filled with doubt and guilt. I couldn't stop thinking about whether I should have gone to see her, even just to say goodbye. It felt like I was grieving all over again, but this time it was mixed with regret. The next day, I ran into my ex's sister, Sarah, at the grocery store. It was the first time we'd seen each other. We talked for a bit, and she mentioned that her parents were struggling with everything. They were trying to deal with their daughter's death and the fact that our marriage had ended so abruptly. Sarah said they missed me and that I had been like a son to them. She invited me over for dinner, saying it might be good for all of us to talk. I was hesitant, but I agreed to go. Dinner was awkward at first. Her parents were kind, but there was an underlying tension that we couldn't ignore. We talked about my ex, shared some memories, and there were tears. But then her dad brought up the divorce. He asked me why I hadn't fought harder for her, why I had let her push me away when she was clearly in a vulnerable state. I tried to explain my side, but I could tell he was hurt and maybe even a bit angry. He didn't understand how I could just accept the divorce and not be there in her final moments. I left their house feeling worse than before. I was angry too, at myself, at the situation, at the disease that took her away from us. I felt like I was being blamed for something that was out of my control. I had tried to respect her wishes, but now it seemed like no one could see that. The following day, I received a message from another one of my ex's friends, someone I hadn't heard from in a long time. She told me that there was a box of my stuff that my ex had kept and that she wanted me to have it. I met up with her and got the box. Inside, there were various things from our life together. Photos, some books we used to read to each other, a watch I thought I had lost, and a letter. The letter was from my ex, written in the last weeks of her life. In it, she apologized for the pain she caused me. She wrote about her fears, her regrets, and how she wished she could go back and do things differently. She said she understood if I couldn't forgive her, but she wanted me to know that she never stopped loving me. Reading that letter was like a punch to the gut. I didn't know what to do with all the emotions it brought up. I was angry that she left me, sad that she was gone, and now I felt this overwhelming sense of loss for what could have been. I didn't know if I could forgive her, but I also couldn't shake the feeling that maybe I had abandoned her when she needed me most. I haven't been able to sleep much since. I keep going over everything in my head, wondering if I made the right choices. I'm trying to move on, but it feels like I'm stuck. I'm not sure where to go from here. I thought I had come to terms with her death and our divorce, but now I'm not so sure. The unresolved feelings between her family and me, the letter and the memories are all swirling around, and I can't seem to find any peace. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, it sounds like you've been through an emotional roller coaster. It's okay to protect your own heart, especially after it's been through the ringer. Grieving and healing have no set rules, so don't beat yourself up for handling things in a way that felt right for you at the time. Comment 2. Have you considered seeking out a grief counselor? It might help to talk to someone neutral about the whirlwind of emotions you're experiencing. Also, do you think there's a way to honor her memory that feels right to you, something that could bring you a bit of closure? Now, for the next story. My mother passed away a week before Christmas last year. Because of her sudden death out of state, and given that she has no direct family except her kids, me and my 3 siblings, we never had an official service for her. My family on my father's side is restarting a Christmas dinner tradition that we haven't done in 20 years. We essentially rent out a large event space, big family, and gather for a dinner. My mother actually helped start the first one over 20 years ago, but as the kids grew older, this trailed off. So I was pleasantly surprised to hear my aunt resurrecting this tradition at the same venue all these years later. It was one of my mom's favorite family events, certainly her favorite of the holiday season. I had an idea to request a small table where I could bring a couple of framed photos of my mother from earlier years' family dinners, as a small way to pay tribute to her within the context of the larger family. I asked my aunt about this and said, I don't want to make a production or dampen the atmosphere in any way. It's not a funeral, just carve a small space at the venue that my siblings and I can feel her presence. Also, the family who never had a chance to say goodbye could write a small message to her or light a candle if they choose, or they could ignore the small vigil altogether and pretend like it's not there. No pressure either way. The last time we went to this event was with my mother many years ago, so the whole event brings back lots of memories. So, my aunt, who is organizing, immediately shut the idea down, saying it's not appropriate. She wants the next generation to get to know the aunts and uncles that are still alive and make a light-hearted event for all. It took me time to build up the nerve to even ask, and I would have never asked if I thought it would be in poor taste or make the evening sad. And my aunt has been very supportive since she passed, so it really caught me off guard when she so quickly rejected the idea. It hurt that she wouldn't consider it, or maybe even come up with an alternative arrangement that is more acceptable. After all, I thought the holidays were about being together with family and honoring those who are no longer here to celebrate, so what am I missing? This event brings back a lot of memories of time with my mother, and without the ability to create a space to honor her, am I the jerk for not wanting to go anymore? Edit. Wow, thanks for all of the thoughtful responses. Was not expecting the outpouring of comments. Lots of great points on both sides. For clarity, this isn't my aunt's party. It's a family gathering that she's helping organize, so we're all pitching in. I really think the best thing is to find a compromise, so neither her nor I are the jerk. I will respect her wishes, but will find a way to honor my mom in my own way during the event, even if no one else knows it. This event was near and dear to her when we were little, so I can pay respects to that without making it a public thing. Anyway, hug your parents and appreciate the holidays with them while they're here. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You want your father's family to honor your deceased mother at a function your father's family is hosting? You're the idiot. You can set up a small vigil in your house if you want to have something for your mother or host something yourself and allow people to come if they choose. You don't hijack someone else's event. Comment 2. Wrong side of the family to have this. Have your own vigil, at your own place. You are trying to add something that has nothing to do with the Christmas party. Now, for the update. Thanks for reading my last post. I've been trying to navigate the situation with my family and the upcoming Christmas dinner, and a lot has happened in the past 3 days. After I posted, I spent a lot of time thinking about what everyone said. I realized that maybe I was too focused on what I wanted and not enough on what the family as a whole might need, so I decided to reach out to my siblings to get their take on the situation. They were all over the place with their opinions. My brother thought the idea of a tribute was nice but agreed with my aunt that it might dampen the mood. My sisters were more supportive, saying that they missed Mom too and would like a way to remember her at the dinner. With all this in mind, I tried to come up with a compromise. I thought maybe we could do something smaller, like wearing a piece of her jewelry or a tie she had given us. That way, we could have a personal reminder without making it a public display. I brought this idea to my aunt, hoping she would be more receptive. But when I called her, things didn't go as planned. She was still pretty firm on her stance. She said she understood where I was coming from, but that the dinner was about moving forward and creating new memories. She didn't want anything to take away from that. I tried to explain that it wasn't about living in the past, but honoring someone important to us, but she wasn't having it. The conversation ended on a sour note, and I felt even more conflicted than before. I didn't want to cause a rift in the family, especially not over something meant to bring us together. But I also felt like my feelings and my siblings' feelings were being dismissed. The next day, I talked to my siblings again. We decided that we would do something for Mom on our own time, maybe visit her favorite park or have a small dinner at one of our houses. It wasn't the same as having something at the family dinner, but it was something. But then, things got more complicated. My youngest sister, who's always been the most sensitive, said she didn't want to go to the dinner at all if we couldn't honor Mom there. She felt like it was disrespectful to act like nothing had happened and just move on. This caused a bit of a divide between us because the rest of us still wanted to go to the dinner. We didn't want to miss out on seeing the rest of the family, especially since it had been so long. We tried to talk to her about it, to explain that we could still remember Mom in our own way, but she was adamant. She said that if the family couldn't make room for Mom, then she didn't feel like she was really part of the family. It was a tough conversation, and none of us really knew what to say to make her feel better. Now, with the dinner just a few days away, things are tense. My sister is still saying she won't go, and I'm worried about what that will mean for the rest of us. Will it look like we're taking sides if we go without her? Will my aunt think she's won if we show up, even though we're still upset about the whole thing? I've been trying to reach out to my sister to talk some more, but she's been pretty distant. I'm not sure how to bridge the gap between her and the rest of the family, and I'm not sure how to reconcile my own feelings of wanting to be with my family, but also feeling like we're not being allowed to grieve in the way we need to. So that's where things stand right now. I'm still planning on going to the dinner, but I'm not looking forward to it like I thought I would be. It's hard to feel festive when there's this much tension and sadness in the air. I just hope we can find some way to get through the dinner without any more conflict. But right now, it feels like no matter what happens, someone is going to end up hurt. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. I went through something similar when my grandpa passed. We wanted to honor him at Thanksgiving, but some family members were against it. We ended up raising a toast to him in private. It's tough when not everyone sees eye to eye on grieving. Comment 2. Hey, it's okay to feel torn about this. Maybe you could wear something of your mom's to the dinner as a personal tribute. It's a way to keep her close without making waves, and keep reaching out to your sister. She's hurting too. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.